Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Analyser. On this week's program, we're going to look at the two Group 1s from Adelaide before getting into Quality 8 races at Flemington for Anzac Day. Dave?
Let's be honest, Ben. The Analyser, it's Group 1 content. So when there's a couple of Group 1s across the border, we've got to cast our eye over them.
And they're good editions of the races this year in both the Australasian Oaks and the Sangster. So before we get into Flemington, let's get into those two big Group 1 features, starting with the Australasian Oaks, and get a good feeling. She's been $2.50 out to $3, back into $2.90 Friday morning. Salty Pearl's rated the main danger. Panova, the Carbine Club stakes winner at 8, with Mating Call, the best of the local chances, and the other one in single figures at $8. So Market's got it mainly a race in 4. Let's have a look at the favourite, Dave. And I think she's got the best form in the race up to a mile. She's got that win at Group 2 level in a wakeful during the spring, so probably 2,000 metres the outer end of her distance range. What do you make of coming out of a slowly run mile? Gap between runs to 2,000 would be my query.
I don't love her setup getting to 2,000 metres. I'm of the opinion that probably in time she's going to be best at the mile. She rated slightly down second up over 1,600 metres. She had a beautiful run relative to the pattern of the day. She was going 12 to 1,600 metres, which isn't ideal, so that freshness was out of the legs and it was soft on the line. But for a filly that's got some sort of question mark in terms of 2,000 metres being her best trip, she goes 12 to 1,600 metres second up, and now she's 5 weeks off to go to 2,000 metres. It's not a great setup. Yeah,
that's the query, isn't it? But you could back the stable in. It's just whether you want to do that at the price. Let's have a look at the best of the local chances in Mating Call, who just had everything go wrong 2 starts ago, but made up for it with a really nice win last time up to 1,800. Again, what do you make of 2,000 for her, given she can get a little bit keen?
It looks pretty good if they happen to run along again. Freedom Flame will go forward. Spicy Lou is going to go to Brisbane, which takes a bit of speed out of the race, but I liked this win last start in the Auraria. She's spotted Freedom Flame a fair head start and was very strong late. We can actually tie Mating Call in with the favourite and with Salty Pearl as well. So in a manifold, she's beaten half a length to get a good feeling. Ran race fastest close up until the last 200 where she peaked. And then she was 3 wide no cover in 1,000 guineas. Salty Pearl only just got her on the line after having her back. So her form's actually not far off a couple of those hard in the market. And her progression to get to 2,000 metres is better than Get a Good Feelings. Now, concede she is the class in the race, Get a Good Feeling. I just don't love the setup. So I want to have something on Mating Call, and if I'm putting some money on Mating Call, well, at $34, I've got to have something small on Freedom Flame, who crossed the line with Mating Call last start.
Very much understand your theory there, because Get a Good Feelings had a measure at 1,600, but 2,000 metres off that setup, I can understand why you want to be with Mating Call. Let's have a look at the Sangster, which is also a fabulous addition of the race. So much depth. The 3-year-old filly Point Barrow is your favourite. They've seen good support for Charmstone with Ladbrokes, $9.50 to $6.50. Generosity's at $6.50. Skybird 7. Bridal Waltz has been well backed, 11 into 7, and a little bit of support for Benedetta, 11 into $9. Then you've got My Gladiola and Super Smink. So what an addition. Let's have a look at one of the main lead-ups for this race, which has a couple of the favoured runners in the William Reid. It's got Charmstone and Benedetta. And from a Sangster perspective, I thought both of them were pretty good, including the defending champion Charmstone.
They were. Benedetta had fitness on Charmstone, but Charmstone's also a bomb fresh mare.
Yeah, she's a freshie.
That doesn't really matter. Charmstone found the right lane, whereas Benedetta was back towards the inside. Never really got a crack at them, but those inside lanes, particularly down the side of the course before she came off heels, Benedetta, they were just quicksand, and that's where she was. And prior to that, she's contested the 3 best Group 1 sprints in Melbourne this spring. In the Lightning, where she was very good. She was pretty good in a Newmarket against the shape of the race, and then a William Reid. So that Group 1 form at weight for age against the boys, it looks good for this. I think she can turn the tables on Charmstone.
I think she's over the odds, and I can see why there's been speaking for her double figures. She's got a Group 1 win at the track and distance for the previous stable. So look at Generosity. So a lot of the key chances drawn out wide in this race, which has been a good place historically in the Sangster. Then you've got Generosity, who's drawn the inside. The Bridal Waltz was pretty good here, one of the potential leaders in the race, caught wide.
Generosity's barrier is a negative given the way the track usually plays rail true, but given she's a query at 1,200 metres, maybe cutting the corner and covering less ground could be to her advantage. Bridal Waltz was good this day, but Generosity, we picked up when she got the back of Briasa, but down the out of the chute there, she was 4 wide no cover for much of the Galaxy. and then she runs the second fastest last 400 metres of the day. Now she meets Bridal Waltz 4 kilos better off at the weight. So I think that's a pretty good form reference. End of 12 the query, but she could perhaps cut the corner from the low draw. So I have had a win bet on Generosity and also Benedetta, who I think's over the odds. Bridal Waltz, I'm a big fan of hers. Dry track, 1,200 metres, that's where she does her best work. But I thought her price should be a bit longer than Generosity's because Generosity's run last up in the Galaxy had more merit. And Point Barrow, well, she went up favourite. She's a classy filly, but she's going to go back to last. And, you know, these other three are through Group 1 races and she beat Torsheen last starter. This is different gravy.
Certainly is. What an edition of the Sangster Stakes, a good edition of the Australasian Oaks as well. That's a look at those two Group 1 features in Adelaide this Saturday. We're going to head to a break on the Analyser. On the other side, we're going to go through 8 races on the Anzac Day Flemington card. Welcome back to the Analyser. Time now to look at the 8-race Flemington Anzac Day program, and the conditions on the day look favourable. Dave Rail goes back into the true position. There's light winds, becoming lighter during the day, so I wouldn't worry too much about them, but they are from the northerly direction. So Rail true, slight northerly. You'd think, even if anything, if maybe more so than other tracks helping horses off speed.
I haven't factored the wind too much into my calculations. Rail true, it's generally better to be in the running line and making ground, but you can still lead and win. I expect it to be relatively fair.
You basically just set up for best horse to win in that sort of scenario at Flemington. Let's get a market thanks to Ladbrokes for the first of 8 on this Anzac Day program. And Bluestone, well supported, doesn't do a lot of winning. Blinkers go on though, $4.20 to $3. Western Front, $4.80. Extra Rush, $4.80. A little bit of support for Kurakka at $4.80. And we're going to have a look at the Western Front, Extra Rush, Kurakka coming through a run at Caulfield last time out, Dave. And I think there's probably merit to both the winner and Kurakka, given they were up to this trip for the first time this preparation, particularly Kurakka, who was getting there quite quickly.
He was. Kurakka, he was not as deep into his preparation as the Western Front. He was going 18 to 2,400 metres. You look at his UK numbers on dry tracks around the 2,500 metre distance range, and he's actually the best horse in the race. Both of his last 2 starts, he's been flushed out very early on really slow tempos, and he sort of had to build through his gears and then peaked on the run late. I think this type of run on Saturday tops him up beautifully to have his peak run of the preparation getting to Flemington. Just cover him up for a bit longer, save him up for one last crack. He meets the Western Front also 2.5 kilos better off at the weights. I thought he should be favourite, Kurakka. I've really wanted to follow him off that run.
So he's a bet for you?
He is, yeah. I've got him as my top selection. After that, Bluestone is a horse that gets blinkers on, and his 3 wins he's been wearing the blinkers, but you know, he's also 4 or 5 weeks between runs. He's sort of just going this preparation. I think Kurakka's got a bit more upside. Samuel Langhorne, he mixes his form a bit. He can run well. Sir Chartwell might bowl forward and lead as well. And look, the Western Front, he can run well, but I didn't find a spot for him at that price.
Same top pick for me. No bets. I just didn't share the exact same confidence at $4.80, but he's the only horse that was about market or slightly over the price I've marked them. Basically everything else I thought was under the odds. And I did have Flamin' Romans actually a little bit shorter off a forgivable run last time out. But if I'm going to be betting the race, it would be Kurakka, but there's races I'm keener on the day, including the second, which will get a market thanks to Ladbrokes, where Carriedo's been $3.10 to $3. Good move for Concord Connie, $4.50 into $3.90. Also Cafe Olay, $7 into $5, with Cardamom, $9.50 to $11. So market basically got it a race in 4. I think this might prove to be quite a strong 3-year-old filly's benchmark 70, Dave. And we'll have a look here at a replay, and this is for Carriedo, who I've got a few queries about what she beat here, but when you win the way she did, I think that's probably a little irrelevant.
Yeah, you can only beat what's in front of you, and this couldn't really have been more impressive. She quickened really nicely. She was strong at the end of this race, and prior to this, when she won at Geelong, she sat outside the leader, ran one of the fastest last 200 metre splits of the program as well. So she's showing some late strength. This was a really nice performance, and notably she does have tactical versatility, whereas her biggest danger, Concord Connie, can be slow away.
Yeah, look at that to the eye again. You can see why she's favourite. I've got a huge opinion of the horse we're going to have a look at here in Concord Connie. I think she's a really smart filly. So, debut, did a bit wrong, ran on well against the pattern. I thought she, there were concerns first up at the price. The market just backed her as if she was unbeatable. And to the eye, it looked like Chasing Rainbows was going to run straight past her. But what we learnt subsequent to the night was they went really slowly here, Dave, and just the further they went, the stronger Concord Connie get. I thought 1400 was going to be a huge plus for her. And of course, we've seen second and third both come out and win so impressively since.
The form has been franked. The number was big as well, last 600 metres. Clearly a big track, and 1400 metres is going to suit. And her debut at Ballarat was against a significant pattern, and she rattled home. I got time for her. I think she's a nice filly, but she was very slow away in her jump out leading into that, and she was slow away debut. Like, from that wide gate, I think she gives Carriedo a head start, and that's why I've lent that way. But I didn't have enough conviction in the race to have a bet.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that point, but I think as not favourite, I'm going to make her the best on the program, Concord Connie. I think if she can get into the running line and she's within a few lengths of Carriedo and Cafe Olay at the 300, I think she'll run past them. I've got a big opinion of her, and I'm happy to back that up by backing her. So, I think she beat two pretty smart fillies last time out, and 1400 is going to be a big plus for her, and I actually like the wide draw for her to get into the running line as we get a market now, thanks to Ladbrokes for race 3. This is one of the features, the Anzac Day Stakes of the 2-year-olds. Big go here for Blind Rays, 320 to 260. Seraphox has gone the other way, 350 to 380. Drumfire's at 450, and there's been a bit of money for Profligate, 10 into $7. So another one that the market's got, Dave, as basically a race in 4. I actually thought the market might come for this horse, Seraphox, as opposed to the horse that is favourite. He didn't have a lot of luck on debut in a really strong 2-year-old race, and then went to this race as favourite. But he might have beaten a pretty handy one, gapped third and was held up.
It was a fast tempo and he was held up, so if he gets out earlier, then he wins by more. And you reference he tackled a strong race on debut. It was the Todman. It was won by Paradoxium. Also, Stretton Ruler was in that race. Like that's premier Melbourne and Sydney 2-year-old form. And he was 4 wide, no cover in that, and didn't give up. So when I first assessed this race, I didn't have much between him and Blind Rays, and nor did the market. But seeing the way that the market has reacted this morning, if he continues to drift Seraphox, I just have to have something on, because I can't get them as far apart as what they are there. Blind Rays quickened pretty well off a very slow tempo at Sandown last start, and another big track, 1400 metres, that will suit. But geez, he does look pretty short against Seraphox, who's raced against some better horses. Drumfire, not sure about the end of 1400 metres. I was querying, I think it was 12 last start when they scratched.
Yep. So I think he's a bet, Seraphox. I've made him one of the other better bets on the program, and I'm happy to back him accordingly. I thought that when they put up around this price that the market would really come for him and he'd be a clear favourite. It's gone the other way, so look, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm happy to bet and find out. I'm glad you agree that they should be a lot closer, if not the other way around. Profligate probably was over early at double figures, and I share your concerns for Drumfire, who I think's under the odds. So a bet there for me on Seraphox as we get a market for the 4th at Flemington. Thanks to Ladbrokes. This is a really interesting 1800 metre benchmark contest. Mukhtalif 360 to 340, Cavalry 460 to 360, First Chorus 450 to 380, and Skipper's Canyon 12 into 11. They are dominating betting, those 3 in particular, at the top of the market. And I don't think any of us would be surprised if any of those 3 go on to bigger and better things. So quite a handy little race. Mukhtalif, he didn't beat opposition anywhere near the calibre of the 2 main dangers that he's going to face on Saturday. But Dave, you had to be impressed by the way he did it. It
was a nice win. He sat outside the lead. It was a good ride to be positive early, and they didn't dawdle either. They went at a solid tempo to the 600, and he just wound up and was strong through the line. I'd probably preferred 2,000 metres because he kept running through the line, but he does have a good map. Barrier 2, Logan Bates claims down 1.5 kilos. I'm not sure if he'll lead, but if he doesn't lead, he's on the back of the lead. And he's certainly got that more advantageous barrier than his 2 rivals in Cavalry, who's drawn the car park. And they will be positive on First Chorus, but still drawn out. Yeah, let's have a look at one of his main dangers in First Chorus, who's been excellent in 2 starts this preparation. I underrated her last prep, there's no doubt about that, but she just keeps getting better as she goes to the races. Look, she was narrowly beaten last night, but I think this is a pretty handy race. It is, yeah. The trapdoor form is pretty good. Look, the way that she travelled into this race, the fact that the rain had come, Geez, it's a tough watch for her to get rolled because the more rain that came on this day, the keener I got. But it was still a performance that had some merit. Her best performance of her career was a dry track at Flemington fast race, 1,700 metres. So I got no issue with her now, third up, getting to 1,800 metres. They claimed down Emily Posman. I think there's enough back markers in this that if they're positive that she finds a spot. She has been well supported. I looked at this market and I had Mukhtalif and First Chorus equal $3.50 favourites, and for most of betting, they've been over that price. So I've backed both of them. Obviously, a bigger result there on First Chorus. Skipper's Canyon will be better second up after hitting the line. And Cavalry, look, I know he's lightly raced. He showed a little bit in Victoria, but he's gone up to New South Wales and won well, but in far weaker races.
Yeah, I tend to agree he's the hole in the market. I see it very similar to you. I see with the upside for Mukhtalif, I'm going to have something on. Not as confident as the previous races, but that's largely due to the presence of First Chorus. I just think he's got a huge amount of upside and probably a map advantage. So I'm going to have something on Mukhtalif. I think First Chorus, the danger. Skipper's Canyon, if there was to be a blowout. And I do think, like you, Cavalry is under the odds there. We'll head to a break here on the Analyser. On the other side, we're going to preview the quaddie legs at Flemington this Anzac Day. Welcome back to the Analyser. Time now to get a market. First leg of the quaddie, race 5, Flemington Anzac Day in King Zephyr. He's been well backed again, 440 to 370. Marigold off a victory last time out, 650 to 550. Big Swingers 7 into 6. Athanatos 750 and Zudo 850 out to 10. Road Cone 12 to 10. Cartoon Graveyard and Give Me Space. So really strong Auckland Thoroughbred Racing trophy this day. There's some great depth to the race. Will the real King Zephyr please stand up? He's starting... Look, I think I put him into the Pretenders file on the Sunday sesh. I think I've done it to him twice. Having said that, I think he's potentially a bet on Saturday. He was lame first up, wrong part of the track. I think we have to be forgiving of that run. He's jumped out nicely between runs. What do you make of his chances?
I've got him on top, but he is a little bit hard to trust. The setup second up, though, is much better than first up. 1,200 was short of his best. Inside horses, wrong part of the track, Caulfield. Now drawn out Flemington. We know he's a big track horse. He loves hillside. He's raced really well at Flemington, being 3 wide, no cover in the past 2. And we saw that jump out between runs. It was excellent. But I can't back him as favourite. I'd need a price to be able to forgive him from last start. Athanatos was excellent in a fast race last start, gaps back to the rest. He's got to go up in the weights, but he looks like the map horse. He's got some options. And we heard from Tommy Stokes that they're keen to keep him at 1,400 metres now. They actually think that that's his trip. I thought maybe he's looking for further, but they think that that's his sweet spot now. Marigold racing well and down in the weights, and Big Swinger. He's a question mark at 1,400 metres, but he does get a nice run. Yeah, he's a very big question mark at 1,400 for me. I thought he was under the odds, Big Swinger. Should get the run of the race. I'm going to back 2, King Zephyr, main bet. I think he's well placed. It'll be Saturday or probably never again. Just thinking Zudo back to 1,400. Off one run on track he didn't handle. He is monster odds, so I'm going to back him to win a similar amount. Yeah, I'd like to see Athanatos do it at 1,400. I think the mile might be what he's looking for, but they would know more than me as we go to a market for race number 6. This is the St Leger, the feature on the program. Silver Sister 310 to 340. The money has now come for Deal Done Fast. 4 into 360. Then you've got Dad and Dave and Jonich. There's one on there, Erupt, not on the screen, which we're going to talk about shortly. Let's go to the well-supported second favourite to start things off, Dave, here with Deal Done Fast, who got a long way out of his ground in an ATC Derby last time out. Historically in this race, the horse that runs around midfield in the ATC Derby and then comes down for the St Leger has a pretty good record over the years. Well, we've got a lot of these in the market coming through. Maiden wins, provincial wins, weaker staying races at Caulfield like the Galilee Series final. So he's obviously got the best form reference, doesn't he? He's come through a Rosehill Guineas and an ATC Derby where he's found them too sharp and he's found them too good, but all the horses that beat him home in that Derby would be hard in the market. So, look, I thought $4 was around his right price. I know he's coming through those stronger races, but I didn't personally want to take that price, but I know he has run well in the VRC Derby as well, so... I had him favourite. I thought $4 was overs, that horse. I thought he should have been clear favourite over Silver Sister.
It's interesting. We don't talk before we put our selections in. We've both found the same roughie on the program in Erupt. Now, I quite liked him this night. Now, the favourite was too good for him. He was 1,600 to 2,500, but I thought he was a good roughie that could run well. He looked like he was going to go straight past Ardashir, who before peaking on his run, and probably have been entitled to do so.
And Ardashir has subsequently won, and won in a different way last night at Pakenham as well. It's pretty gritty. So Ardashir had a prep under the belt, had more race experience. Erupt was going at start to 1,600 metres to 2,550. So to do that, I think he'll stay the 2,800 metres. I've backed him, had something small on each way from Deal Done Fast. John Etch and Silver Sister does look a bit under the odds coming through a win at Donald last start.
Yeah, agree. Look, the price has really come in this morning, hasn't it, for Deal Done Fast and Erupt. So I've had a win bet on Deal Done Fast and something small, 1x4 Erupt. Both of those prices have come in, so you can adjust your stakes accordingly if you want to. As we get a market now for race number 7, this is the Flight Lieutenant Peter Armitage handicap, 2,000 metres. Zakuma, who's airborne this preparation, is at $2.70. It's been a good go for the likely leader. Bring forth 550 to 390. Two Darn Discreets at 950, Plymouth 13, Sun Gift 13, then we're out to Fujita Sun and Co at bigger odds. It's actually a really strong race. You've got some quality towards the top, as well as a couple of very progressive horses in Zakuma and Bring Forth, Dave. You were extremely keen on Zakuma's chances last time out. Now, I don't think this opposition that he beats, even though Elder subsequently came out and won a Terrain Cup, the second place getter, was anywhere near as strong as Saturday, but it's hard to put a ceiling on him the way he's going.
Yeah, I am a fan. He shows late strength in his races of varying tempos as well. Look, he is staying at 2,000. They wanted to take him to a Mornington Cup, so that means that he's now 4 weeks between runs, but he couldn't be doing any more than what he's done so far this preparation. He's been smashing the line, but I had him priced $3.50, so I couldn't take anything around the price that he is now.
What about Bring Forth? Could you take the price with him, or have you taken the price with him, given he also comes off an impressive win last time out? Again, like Zakuma, a weaker race. He's going up against stronger opposition, but he's hard fit and in form.
Well, when it was 550 versus 260, this bet on Bring Forth was a no-brainer, but I've got them rated $3.50 the pair favourites. So still at $3.90, Bring Forth is the bet. I have it an each-way play on the Analyser. That place price is disappearing, but what this horse is doing is he's going to the front under big weights, both at Morphettville and then Caulfield last start. And he's leading at fast tempos and he's staying strong late. So he's the only leader in this race.
Yep.
He'll go forward. He's got absolutely no weight on his back and he's going to get a massive head start on Zakuma. So I've had a really good each way bet on him as well. I'll be staggered if he misses the placings.
Yeah, I can very much understand your case. I've not had a bet in this race. I've got Zakuma on top. I think he's the better horse, but I do concede the map is going to be a bit ugly. If Two Darn Discreet can go forward, I think she's over the odds. Land Legend might be going okay off his last run. That's good enough to put him right in the mix. He does a lot wrong in Plymouth Luckless last time out. There's a lot of quality in that race. As we get a market for the last on the card, and Cripps off his stunning win last time out, it's been well supported. 4 into 360. You've got Everrain at 650, Medea at 7, The Blade at 850. Bit of support for Lovely Cut 10 into 9, and Aliro at 950. So an open way to end the 8-race program. Let's have a look at The Blade and Lovely Cut, who come through a run at Caulfield. I thought both of them were pretty good first up, given they're really going to come on for this run. The Blade will be fitter. He can go forward. Lovely Cut, I think at 1,400 doesn't have to be as far away, and she's going to take... She was held up at a crucial stage.
She was. She should have finished a lot closer, and look, The Blade was also cramped for room as well, but through this race, I thought it was Lovely Cut, the one that I want to follow. She sort of darts back to the inside. She sticks on pretty well late in the piece. She's won up to 1,400 metres in the past. I think that's her trip. And she very nearly gets past The Blade after giving him a head start and having to dart back towards the inside. So I want to make her a nice result. I've had 3 bets in the race. I've backed Lovely Cut, Medea, who's trialled really well, and Prestige Forever, who draws the car park but was good first up. Because Cripps is just the easiest horse to bet around on the Flemington Carnival, not the Carnival, but on Anzac Day, because that pattern at Ballarat last start was just ridiculous. He had massive favours.
In a weaker race as well. And so, yep, I was seeing it very similar. I didn't have Cripps in my numbers. We're going to go 1x3 Lovely Cut. I've always had a big opinion of her. I remember we did the Derby Day show one time talking about her in a good 3-year-old fillies race, and I had something on her that day, and I can't remember if you might have as well, and 3 wide no cover into a howling northerly, and since then she hasn't had too many opportunities, and when she has, she's run really well, including a victory last prep. So 1 by 3, Lovely Cut. I think she's one of the better value bets on the program. Dave, let's have a look at your plays for Anzac Day.
Yeah, just the 8 races, but a nice spend. I like Kurakka in the first. I think it's a 2-horse race, race 4, first chorus and Mukhtalif. The St Leger Erupt is a big price for a reason, still a maiden, but I think you can run a massive race at start 3. Bring forth my best on the program, keen to back him each way. He goes to the front with absolutely no weight. And in the last, I'm very keen to take on Cripps, who had those patent favours at Ballarat with Lovely Cut, Medea, and if he runs, Prestige forever.
Like it. Yeah, I'm really keen to bet as well at Flemington. I've got a huge opinion of Concord Connie. She might end up a group class mare in time. We'll find out on Saturday, and when she's not favourite, I'm going to back her and back her confidently. Likewise, Seraphox, he's not favourite. I think he should be. Mukhtalif's going, I think, to bigger and better things. D-Day for King Zephyr in Zudo overs in the race. Deal Done Fast, I think, should be favourite. Erupt, I'm with you, one of the better roughies of the day. And Lovely Cut, the best value for me in the last. That's a look at Anzac Day at Flemington. We'll be back to do it again next week on the Analyser.